The case we will talk about today is the most heinous one in recent memory in China. It happened in 2017, and people are still discussing it today. But the discussion is not about the victims and the killer, but about the victim's family. In most murder cases, people will feel sympathy for the victims and their families, but the family member of the victims in this case have been criticized by many people. Even though the murderer has been sentenced to death, there are still people who suspect that he is the real mastermind behind the case. Now let's take a look at this arson case that caused a sensation nationwide. On the morning of June 22, 2017, a condo in a high-end residential area in Hangzhou city caught fire, resulting in the death of Zhu Xiaozhen and her 3 kids. The person who deliberately set fire to the condo was the nanny, Huajing, whom I will refer to as Mo in the following video. Her motive was to set fire first and then put it out in order to make her employer, Zhu Xiaozhen, feel grateful and then ask Zhu Xiaozhen for a loan. Mo was born in 1983 and had huge debts due to gambling addiction. In order to dodge a creditor, she came to Hangzhou to work in 2015. She had worked as a nanny in other homes, but was dismissed by almost every employer due to theft and other reasons. Until September 2016, she came to Zhu Xiaozhen's home to work as a live-in nanny under the recommendation of an agent company. From March 2017 to June 21st, Mo repeatedly stole gold and watches from Zhu Xiaozhen's home for pawns to get money for gambling, obtaining more than 180,000 yuan, equivalent to $25,000. However, these actions weren't discovered by Zhu Xiaozhen. Shortly before the incident, Mo borrowed 114,000 yuan, equivalent to $15,000 from Zhu Xiaozhen on the pretext of building a house in her hometown. All the money she got was used for gambling. From the evening of June 21st, 2017, to the early morning of the next day, Mo was playing online gambling games on her cell phone. After playing for most of the night, she lost nearly $10,000. She wanted to get more money to make a comeback, but she couldn't ask again after having just borrowed over 11,000 yuan from Zhu Xiaozhen. So she had an idea that if she set a fire but put it out, the kind-hearted Zhu Xiaozhen would be grateful to her, and then she could ask her for some money. From 2:11 to 4:18 on June 22nd, Mo used her cell phone to search for information related to setting a fire for a full 2 hours. Afterward, the police found several inquiries about home fires in her phone, including, is there compensation for home fires? What causes a sudden fire in the home? Is it possible to slow down the burning of the curtains in the home? Is it easy to find the cause of the fire? And many others. This shows that she just had the idea that night. After being arrested, Mo said that she managed to ignite a book at around 4:55. She used a lighter to ignite the book's hardcover and failed. Then she ignited the book's inside pages. After seeing the book burst into flames, she threw the book onto the fabric sofa, which quickly ignited the sofa and curtains. Because the interior decoration materials used in Zhu Xiaozhen's home and the way of partitioning were easily combustible, the fire burned quickly. At 5 a.m., the monitor room of the condo building received a smoke alarm signal from the corridor. At 5:04, Zhu Xiaozhen called the police.
喂，你好。你好，我是老帅铁匠231大员182，我们家里着火了，赶紧过来，赶紧。什么东西烧起来？不知道什么东西烧起来了，赶紧，我们这房间里都是泥，这火炸起来了，快点快点。好的，你先房间里出来啊，马上过来了，马。我出不来，你快点进来，快点。好了，几幢几单元？2幢1单元102。
At 5:07, the fire linkage system was simultaneously activated. During this period, Mo fled wearing pajamas and slippers and told a neighbor who ran into her downstairs that Zhu Xiaozhen had asked her to go downstairs and call the police. The neighbor said Mo was calmly holding an iron hammer and a cell phone in her hands. At 5:11, Mo called the police for the first time. At this time, it had been about 16 minutes since she set the fire, and Zhu Xiaozhen and other neighbors had called the police many times before she did, so her call had no practical value. However, since Mo's goal was to set fire first and then put it out, why didn't the fire get extinguished? Some people speculate the reason, and I think this explanation is reasonable. Mo must wait for the fire to get bigger before extinguishing it so that it can be a big deal, and also can cover up the starting point and cause of the fire. However, when the fire spread, it exceeded her ability to cope. She wasn't sober because of gambling, and she had been up all night without sleep. She may get scared and in a panic, so she just ran away for her own sake. Moreover, Mo didn't take any measures to control the fire before setting it on fire, nor did she provide any assistance to the 4 victims after setting it on fire. At 5:15, the firemen arrived, but the property management staff delayed providing Zhu Xiaozhen's home layout. During the period, the firemen went in and came out, but found no one in the condo. However, Zhu Xiaozhen and her 3 children were in the northernmost room. In fact, Zhu Xiaozhen also said their location in one of her calls, but on-site responders didn't get this information from the operator. The situation at that time was probably that Zhu Xiaozhen found the fire blocking the door and went to each room to wake up the children, taking them to the room furthest away from the fire point to wait for rescue. But they didn't come. Around 7 o'clock, the 4 victims were found in the daughter's small room, having died from carbon monoxide poisoning. 3 such cute kids and a kind mother. It's unbearable to think how much despair and fear they experienced before dying. After the case was reported, people asked why it took 2 hours to find the persons. The report issued by Hangzhou Fire Department said that there were many safety hazards and improper emergency handling in the community. On the day of the fire, the pressure of the fire water supply pipe network was insufficient, failing to start the fire hydrant. 35 minutes after confirming the fire alarm, the fire hydrant pump still didn't start. The water pump adapter was rusted. However, the property management of the community also denied through the media that there was no problem with the fire hydrant. Until later, when the Hangzhou Fire Department and the property management were both charged for the fire, both sides blamed each other. Mo was sentenced to death for the clear criminal fact. A reporter once went to Mo's hometown to interview and learn about the first half of her life. It was found that Mo was addicted to gambling and had no conscience or soul. She stole her parents' money for medicine to gamble, lost all the money, and then borrowed from her relatives. She also borrowed high-interest loans with an annual interest rate of 72% and didn't take care of her child. She fled to Hangzhou City to avoid creditors. Those employers she worked for treated her well, but she stole from each of them and used their luxury cars and houses to show off on her social media. Before the execution, all her family refused to see her for the last time. After the case occurred, everyone felt sad for this originally happy family. In addition to the victims Zhu Xiaozhen and her 3 children, they also sympathized with Zhu Xiaozhen's husband Lin Shengbin, who was on a business trip at the time of the incident. Lin is also the father of the 3 children and the host of the family. I will refer to him by Lin in the rest of the video. As time goes by, the heat of the case hasn't subsided, and people begin to doubt Lin's various behaviors. Some people believe that he is the mastermind behind the case. So why is he suspected? Let's take a look at Lin first. In 2005, Zhu Xiaozhen, 24, often went to a barber shop, where she met 26-year-old barber Lin. They began dating and got married in 2005. At that time, they were in poor financial conditions and lived in a rented apartment. After marriage, they began to start a business together, doing the clothing industry. In the first few years, their lives were still tough, but with the joint efforts of them, the business became better and better, and they had 3 children. In 2011, they bought the condo on mortgage where the crime occurred, with an area of about 3,800 square feet and a value of about 22 million yuan, equivalent to $3 million. By 2017, their clothing company had more than 40 employees. These fortunes were created by the two of them together. After the incident, everyone sympathized with this miserable man and supported him. He started to post his life on social media. The contents were not only about defending his family's rights, but also about sharing his feelings. For example, he endured 20 hours of pain and tattooed a design representing his wife and children on his back to forever engrave them in his life. He also went to the temple every week to chant sutras and pray for them. He even broke his bones on the way there. In an interview, he also said that he would donate all the compensation to charity. For a while, Lin became a model of a good man, with his deep love, selflessness, and justice, gaining millions of fans. This is a video when he spoke in the morning hall, and we can see many people were there for him.
置顶，我的微博知道吧？知道。好，我希望大家置顶。我的微博名称叫什么？老婆孩子在天堂。再讲一遍。老婆孩子在天堂。老婆孩子，你听到了吗？你上天堂了。
In the video, he called on everyone to follow his social media and put it at the top. Later, he released a clothing brand named after his 3 children to commemorate them. With the hot topic, the brand has also gained high attention. In the next 4 years, he was both famous and got money. Until June 30th, 2021, 4 years after the incident, he announced on social media that he had remarried and had a child, and lots of doubts about him appeared online. A reporter said that Lin had already been with his current wife, Xiao Lei, before the crime. The night before the crime, Lin was talking to her on his cell phone, causing the phone out of power and shut down. The next day, he didn't receive the distress call from his wife. But this is what Lin said in an interview.
因为当天晚上我还在跟我老婆还在聊天，聊到11点多，那我
就是头一天晚上是吧？
对21哦，然后他还给我拍了一张小儿子的照片，出汗很多嘛。然后后来跟他聊了聊，我后来就睡着了嘛。
At the same time, Lin released screenshots of conversations between him and Xiaolei in February 2019, in which they talked about Xiaolei having a blind date with a man, indicating that the two were not dating at the time. But someone said that they saw Lin holding hands with a woman in a museum in January 2018. At the end of December 2018, someone met him in Australia and saw him parachuting with a woman. From the current information, it is unclear since when Lin and Xiao Lei had been together. It's probably only known to the two of them whether he had an affair before the crime. In addition to questioning his image as a good husband, some people even believe that he was the one who controlled the nanny to set the fire. There are rumors that Lin cheated on his wife with the nanny, so he asked her to set a fire to kill his wife. There are also rumors that Lin threatened to fire Mo and pissed her off on purpose before going on a business trip, and then left his family to be revenged by angry Mo. But no matter what kind of story, if it was true, Mo would definitely say it in court to gain sympathy, because she had a very strong desire to survive. In addition to lying in court about her rescue efforts and appealing after the first trial, she also issued an apology statement and wrote an apology letter to Lin. Even though she found various reasons to excuse herself, she never said that she was threatened or hinted by Lin. Some people also questioned the well that Lin built after the arson case, believing that the well wasn't built to comfort his dead wife's soul, as Lin claimed, but to prevent her spirit from haunting him. They believed that Lin built the well because he was guilty of being involved in the arson case. In fact, many people suddenly turn to metaphysics or religion for help, or start to engage in superstition after the death of their loved ones, or after experiencing some major upheavals. It may be due to a sense of impermanence in life, fear of death, and a desire to gain strength from religion. I know nothing about the design of the well. Lin may indeed feel uneasy, but this doesn't mean he has something to do with the fire. His unease should come from the fact that he was on a business trip and didn't turn on his phone that day, blaming himself for not receiving his family's final distress call. Since most rumors on the internet are false, why is Lin, who was supported by many people at first, finally being criticized now? Many people believe that he set up himself as a loving husband and good man, using everyone's sympathy and attention to promote his clothing brand. It can be said that he has built his current career through the consumption of the death of his family. Usually, the victim's family fades away from the public's attention, but he's still very active on social media. He's chasing attention. He has forgotten why he got so much attention in the first place. People feel sorry for the victims, but the victims are no longer alive, so people project their feelings onto him. Another point that has been criticized by many people is that shortly after the incident, he said in an interview that he would donate all compensation money to help the victims of the fire disaster. However, he hasn't done so yet. When the incident just happened, I believed that his grief was real. Even if he was really cheating on his wife and his feelings for her were fake, the tragic death of his 3 children was also a huge grief for him. However, later on, such a major tragedy was gradually transformed into a high-profile performance and the pursuit of benefits under the spotlight.